Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. He is Commander Cockings.
He's got a Foley.
Today we're here to talk about a thing that exists.
It does.
Exist. In particular, it is a Starbase, essentially. It's from the game Star Trek Conquest. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but we're going to take a look at it today, as it's kind of a cool design.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where we got the opportunity to get some of these assets from other Star Trek games, and a PlayStation 2 long ago thing. You wouldn't necessarily think they'd design new things, but I was scrolling, and obviously got the Vortra and the Negvar and the Sovereign. Ooh, alternate space docks. Okay, you know, is it one that works with the wheel, etc., or is it breaking the wheel? I don't know. Let's find out. So we have this Starbase. PS2 graphic resolution, of course, but it's got some design elements as well.
It's interesting. I like the shapes, but there's a decided lack of detail. No windows or anything.
PS2.
It's just it seems like a weird design choice. It's just different just for the sake of being different. Looks like a gear or a cog. You're cutting out valuable real estate by putting these cuts in it, but it's cool looking.
And it's funny because in my third GoFundMe film, I put this in as a background asset. I had to add windows to it. 'Cause I thought, windows, please. But this one didn't come with windows. We didn't include them.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to judge scale with it too.
And that's what I mean. This could in fact be a tiny, like it's obviously an Earth space dock style. But what if those side pods are shuttle base size? What if they're pod, and therefore all those chunky glows are some sort of emitter, and it's actually just a tiny base?
Well, interestingly enough, that middle section is very reminiscent of like regular one kind of shapes.
Yeah.
So it could be a smaller science outpost, and yeah, those could be probe launchers or like sample shuttles that go out and collect things and bring them back. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you downsize it in your brain down to even regular one size, like the Federation version, it's like, okay, it would be nice if there's something in the cutouts versus just hull, but you know, again, PS2.
Yeah, I think windows would definitely help. I don't think I wouldn't picture this ever as regular one size. I would put it bigger than that, like a bigger version of regular one, but not or space dock size, you know.
Because even if each of those four, we can assume four pod bay doors were regular one sized, as in their docking, you've still got a substantial more space. But I'm certainly wishing that the inner cutouts had torpedo launchers in all three slots. A, that would give you a sense of scale, but B, then it'd be a defense station, and I would see a certain logic, because then the tubes are protected slightly from being recessed. They're not as out in the open.
Yeah, a defense platform would be kind of cool. If you got the next picture, you got like domes on top and two spires. Very little detail there, but I kind of like the idea of that, because even regular one and like the office complex, when it was the other way, had those windows around, and you had the arboretum in there, so that could be that kind of thing.
And if you go back to giant scale, of course, those are on the Earth space dock, at the top being the giant domey things with lots and lots of pillars. Although I like how with the low resolution these look like bullets. What's the exact sort of pointiness for bullets? Yeah, if those were, again, scale is difficult. If they were, as I think you alluded to, like a giant garden sort of space, so one giant room, then everything else kind of scales around that.
Or even some kind of observatory with like a telescope, like a high-powered telescope.
Oh, I like
there.
that. Like regular one again, yeah.
Yeah, regular one has that one dome section that's exactly what it is. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of a scientific research outpost, honestly.
With cutouts.
You could dock other modules in there.
Mission
specific.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That could be a whole thing. Ooh. And there'd be so this is like a fresh build, and then throughout so if this was a game, you could then, like you say, add a torpedo pod, add a phaser pod, add a survey pod. Oh, I like that.
Lab. Like a specific lab for...
Sorry, non-military, yeah, sorry. Yeah. No, I like that. That's really clever. Does it make it more or less useful, though? Because you're adding all these weak points, but then
it's expandable. I mean, it can be changed and swapped out for different mission profiles.
Well, and in fact, you know how the Earth Space Complex, the one in TMP, has the almost spider web of extruding facilities. what if one of those you could dock in had extruding pods, which then could keep extruding, kind of almost like the Suliban helix station. So like it could almost extend in unique ways. Each fourth quadrant pod space could do its own unique. That'd be crazy. I know we're thinking redesign territory, but still. Next view, though, is the classic sort of look up at it from Star Trek 3, I believe. Certainly not meant to be looked at this angle because there ain't no detail. And I even popped this thing to Octane Render to have a correct interactive lighting path, so you see the little blue lights, to even try and upgrade the detail, Stuart. I did my best. 2007, sorry.
Perfect, yeah. Actually, this view is interesting because going back to what I was talking about with that bottom section looking very regular one in its design, there you got those like windows or those details kind of on the underside of that. So I don't know if that was an inspiration for this. And
the PS2 could never be HD, so therefore this is so below that. So it's kind of amazing how sort of quote unquote well it holds up for full HD quality rendering. It's funny if you look at this shot out for a second, it kind of looks like an amazing deflector point prong, like the way it's all framed. Like you throw that in the TOS con is like a refit deflector module. It's like, okay, cool.
Or even some kind of satellite, like a laser weapon kind of device.
From the dolphins, some laser dolphins, yeah. But the next view though, even more classic. I think obviously up the lighting. I mean, it is the same but different, right? And that is, for the most part, a successful design where it feels the same but has its own unique flair. This does not feel like a space dock while still being basically a space dock. So I commend them for doing something different but the same.
Yeah. And it wouldn't take much to like redesign this, but keep the same shapes. Throw in some windows, some other docking ports or something, and definitely you can make multiple different station iterations with this. So,
or even just as a fan redesign, take this concept and up detail it in a hero form would be pretty fun. But if you look at the more general sort of side view, I actually have quite a soft spot for this. This is why I put it in my films, because it's so the same but so different. I even kind of like the slightly misproportioned sense of how long the bottom spine is, prong. I think it kind of works well with I kind of like this, and this view helps to express why. I think it quite works.
Yeah, it definitely invokes the feeling of space dock, but is just another iteration. So
would it be more boring or more interesting had they put a significant detail near the bottom, a la the big ball at the end of 3, at the end of the space dock, or does it not having that give it that freshness of difference?
Could work either way, honestly. Yeah. I kind of like that it's different. Although, again, if it was... This could even be a Federation mining facility. Kind of like Deep Space Nine kind of vibe to it with... You could have that kind of feel going on. There's a lot of ways you could repurpose this, I think. It'd be interesting on the bottom there to put like a... Kind of like a not a gun, but like a sensor thing or something that you could aim towards the planet to do scientific like studies or... Yeah, lots of different purposes kind of spring to mind for me.
It feels like I think the lack of windows helps you have your own scale go wild, right? It could be anything. But it's a really nice... It's original enough to be original, but a fresh enough canvas that you could turn this into a few things. Like you could even, if you were crazy, have that middle pod be... so picture it as like more of a shroud, so that there's like hangar bays in the middle bit, both bottom, but so the shells kind of go out and then down. So it's like a really recessed drop down bay almost. Not sure why exactly, but you can make that a radical detail.
One thing when we're talking about expandable pods that could slip in those slots, it'd be kind of cool if there was one that slipped in and had like a long arm coming out with a bunch of different dry docks attached to it.
Dry docks, yeah.
Because I've seen similar things in like the comics where there's like a long arm with a couple dry docks, and you can just pull in ships.
Well, especially if I actually like that if the arms are angled down, so they were kind of in between the top layer and the middle layer. Then the middle layer, that was where all work bees come from. That's a giant work bee storage unit, and let's be honest, car parking space, and it's lift up and then they go, and then that would actually be really. So maybe the bottom's like the work bee car park, and the top could be like hundreds of little doors, and each one has a little cargo unit, and they can then pull pods and stuff.
Or just it's a fabricator. It just prints like the ship parts that they need, and they pull them out. So yeah.
But let's do a direct comparison though with ESD. Like I said, it's the same, but actually extremely different. Although it shows you how much they hit the nail on the head with the original. I am biased. I love it, but it's so good.
It's like Space Dock is sexy, right? This one's like it's lankier, sister or brother. It still looks great, but it's just a different vibe to it. Yeah, and the only having 2 spires on the top as opposed to that many. Like I think they're trying to invoke that this is not as big just by the details they put on it or lack thereof. Because I can see this as a much smaller version.
Well, if those spires were much smaller, you wouldn't necessarily even be able to see them in a PS2 graphics. They'd be 3 pixels wide, so that might have just been pure gotta make them big enough.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But it's interesting how it doesn't feel necessarily limited by we've got to make these harder angles because low end graphics. That actually works as a broader artistic choice. The fact that everything has a slightly harder edge, because if you're a Space Dock, everything's got a curve pretty much, and these all end in that hard edge. But it works for this. But obviously, you could still make a hard edge with the polygons to make it look nice. I think it would benefit certainly from extending the top lip a little bit to be able to have that rim of lighting, which I absolutely love. Which ironically is an unnecessary cutout, really, but it adds that illumination. I think that would make the thing pop in a way that's so. But I'd actually extend the top layer further down and then have the recess. So I wouldn't lose anything. I'd just add that as an extra thickness.
Yeah, and this picture just kind of demonstrates how important windows are to get scale. Like there are larger bays on the Earth Space Dock that just appear like blue squares, and I think that's what they're trying to emulate here. But it's really difficult to get a feel on what they wanted to do with this. Yeah,
this is actually kind of annoying in a sense because you see the direct scale parallels. They got very close. It's almost exactly the same scale. The docking bays look about the same, the spire's about the same, and the blue square's about the same. So that is implying. Now, they also, I guess, might have thought windows would be too small, but I'm sure the Federation ships had windows, so I think that's a bad argument.
Yeah. It's probably meant to be like in the distance around a planet that you're not supposed to see, really.
I haven't played Conquest, so I don't know. But they had several different space docks, so it might be you evolve it over time a la progression system. But I think you could do a lot with this as a genuine... It's so the same but different. I love the idea of having their separate cargo pods, and even if you... So the cutouts that we talked about earlier. If you had some industrial, like, clamp-looking details in each one, which would be a very odd detail, but that would imply the whole, well, we need to connect some elements. That would give it a whole different vibe. But yeah, I have a little sweet spot for this one. I found it, I thought, you know what? I like that. I wanna give it some credit. Because it's been, how many years? Many, many years. Conquest, 2007. For the Wii. Oh, and the Wii.
Yeah, see, the ironic thing is, I have a copy of Conquest upstairs for the Wii, which we used to have a Wii one a long time ago. And I think I got the game after we'd stopped using it. So I've never actually played the game. But I have a copy of the game in a Wii. As I was saying, though, if you guys had played Star Trek Conquest a lot and you're a big fan of it, let us know if you remember this station, if you can tell us anything more about it. We would love to hear what you have to say down in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell icon and hit the like button. We really appreciate that.
That's what we try and do at Trekyards, as you know, bring you unusual yet canony yet fresh. We're not looking at blurry Wii screen caps. These are brand new, fresh renders with Octane as well. So you can appreciate all those 485 polygons in crystal clear detail. Just like you always wanted.
Indeed.
But we're bringing these things, and this might inspire you to design a new space station, which shows, how malleable this starter station is, while still having a lot you can do with it. So yes, if you want to support us to do more of these kind of videos, looking at all sorts of game ships and comics and other stuff, which we've done in the past, of course, Patreon is a tremendous way. Each and every monthly donation makes a big difference. Or join the channel on YouTube, same thing, but on YouTube, or Super Chat during any live, that's any of our conversations, discussions, or game shows, or even AI stories. Ooh, interesting.
Do whatever you need to do to help us out. We appreciate it. But yeah, until next time, he's Commander Cockings.
He's got a Foley.
See you guys later.
Bye, guys.